Hello, everyone.
Hey.
We are back for another episode of With So Much Love.
With E&O stands for Earl and Oneka if you're new to the page.
We're glad you're here.
Hey.
Oneka is drinking her new Starbucks drink.
Okay, so fun fact about me. Well,
there's a lot of fun facts about you.
I love coffee. If you don't know, nice to meet you. I have a coffee flow. So my morning coffee is different from my afternoon coffee. My morning coffee is either Nespresso with almond milk and honey or Nespresso with this like oat milk creamer that I've been using that has sugar in it, but I don't love to have sugar like that first thing in the morning.
But you did the honey.
You know, that's what I was saying. You
like honey instead of a sugar?
Yes.
Oh, I got you.
Yes. That's my morning coffee. Then I have a midday coffee. My midday coffee used to just be Nespresso, but I've been shaking it up, and I've been having a variation between a cappuccino, oat milk cappuccino, no sweetener. But as of the last 2 weeks, hot off the press, I've been drinking second day coffee after the fast because I didn't have sugar during the fast, is a grande hazelnut oat shaken blonde espresso hazelnut 1 pump on ice. That's been my new afternoon drink.
Do you know how emasculating it is when you ask me to go to Starbucks and get that drink for you?
I'm drinking it right now. You can hear the ice.
Yeah, we just heard the ice.
You hear the ice?
We heard the ice.
I needed to pick me up. We're talking in the afternoon, and I need to pick me up.
For me to go, can I please have an oat milk shaken, no ice, 1 pump espresso, honey hazelnut latte grande with no cup and no air, but a whole lot of, I don't even know what to say. It feels so, I don't know. I don't feel like if a bear was coming at me to attack me at that moment, I feel like I wouldn't be able to run.
Because you're trying to say the drink order?
No, just because I feel like all my manhood is gone.
Oh,
like I wouldn't be able to fight the bear.
Hey.
And I would want to fight the bear. Like if a bear, like if you're about to be mugged, but I was ordering that drink, the mugger would get you.
You're funny.
Because all my manhood, I feel like is just like.
Well, thank you for being a gentleman. But it's my new afternoon drink. But lately, my dream is to have the ice on the side, because if you have someone like deliver them, you know, the delivery services that can deliver you coffee, it gets watered down, and then the espresso is not that strong anymore. Mm-hmm. So I almost have to start getting a double shot if it's going to be on ice.
So you just wow.
Those who know me, you just have to know me to love me to know my coffee flow.
I think it's great. And the reason I love all of this is how you treat people.
Yep, I care about every detail.
You will give somebody a grande hazelnut oak shaken espresso blonde 1 pump hazelnut.
And if the Starbucks doesn't if they're out of hazelnut syrup, I will call 3 Starbucks for you.
You will find it for someone. Yep.
I do go hard in the paint for
So
people.
I have really tried to pick that up because I tend to not want to inconvenience people.
Right.
Because I feel like it's kind of inconvenient. Oneka's just slurping away from the microphone right now.
I didn't want you guys to hear the ice. Now everyone's going to want an ice drink. You do have to try this one. A girl I follow on Instagram posted it. And ever since then, you know, because everything that happens on Instagram is true.
All of it.
All of it.
Of course, yes.
So, yeah, it's my new thing.
All of it. Though, yeah, shout out for Instagram. God can use it for His good and glory, for sure.
He does. I get a lot of gold from there, and I stay away from the negativity.
Yes. But I tend to be concerned about that I'm going to inconvenience a person. But you
should see him on an airplane. Like, watch Earl get his bags down from an overhead bin. That kid, you do it in like 3 seconds flat because he always feels bad. He hates inconveniencing anyone. So the person behind us is so lucky because he jumps out of his seat. The minute the unfastened seatbelt sign, door, you're to the bridge, whatever, he literally hops out of his seat. He grabs those bags down so fast that we are off that plane as soon as we can be off that plane.
Here's the other thing.
You can move some stuff from an overhead bin.
Thank you.
It's crazy to watch. Fun fact.
Oneka sits there.
I just sit there. I'm on my phone.
She has her phone
I'm just
out.
like in my own world.
Literally.
And he is just...
I'm like, honey, can you please grab this? Can you please grab that? She's like, oh, yeah, sure. Then I'm already up, and she's still sitting there with her seatbelt on, trade table out, headphones in.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what? We landed? Here's a little random, it's not a fun fact, but I, in my head, get a little bit upset. This might show how competitive I am. This is not good. I get a little upset in my head when the flight attendant says, we'd like to be the first to welcome you to, and they say the city.
Okay. Why do you get upset?
Because I want to be the first. So I welcome myself.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm like, welcome to Memphis, Earl. And then then they say, I'd like to be the first to welcome you. And I go, well, you weren't. This is all happening inside.
That's your inner dialogue.
And I want to say, I want to welcome you too.
Yeah.
I want to say, hey, honey, welcome to Dallas.
You're
so
funny.
they can't say they're the first.
I like it.
I don't know why that is. There's got to be something wrong with me.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah. I need a hazelnut one
You want to
pump.
try a sip of it?
I've had that. It was
Okay.
pretty good. I don't like coffee actually, so I don't actually drink coffee, which I know is weird for a lot of people. But I don't drink coffee.
No, he wakes up happy.
Well, unless our daughter has just come in, wake me up at 3:27 a.m.
Yeah.
And I still kind of wake up happy, I think.
You do.
Okay, how about this? Philippians chapter 4, verse 12. I'm reading something from my journal right now. Oneka doesn't know where this is going.
I love it. I'm just here for the
Philippians
ride.
chapter 4, verse number 12. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. You know the next verse. I can do all things through Christ. You were like, don't ask me. Oneka's face.
My coffee's still kicking in.
She looked petrified
I
for a
was like, wait,
second.
don't make me do Bible
She
trivia.
would know. You would have known if I
Yeah.
really pressed you. Philippians 4:13.
Yep.
I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. But the verse before it is, I know what it is to be in need.
Yeah.
And I know what it is to have plenty.
Yeah.
Whoa, I wrote in my journal with an exclamation mark.
I love, like, one day when you're in heaven, 100 years from now, our kids are going to, love reading your journals.
Hopefully. This verse is coming to me within the framework of, and I wrote down all these things, sleep, rest, sex, money, team, kids' behavior. Can we read it again?
Yeah.
I know what it is to be in need, in
So good.
sleep, in rest, in sex, in money, in team, in kids' behavior. Fill in the blank, whatever you want to.
Mm-hmm. In your singleness.
I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret, he says, of being content. Well, yeah, then he says, I've learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. And I wrote down, are you in a season of plenty or want? A season of needs or pleasures? Whatever the season is, I want to walk in contentment because I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. So I wrote down here, content but not lazy. Content but not complacent. Content but not flippant. Content, not contentious. Content, not combative. Content, not cold. Because in seasons of lack or what, say you and I, you just had a baby or schedules are crazy and you can't have a lot of sex as a couple. You're just in the season.
Married couple.
Yes.
Well, not everybody who listens to this
I agree.
is married.
Married
so
couple.
I just want to
Let's go ahead and say that.
clarify.
We want you to go ahead and honor the Lord and your bodies. So we can talk about that another time of why that is. It's not a rule to break you. It's a gift to help you be who God has called you to be. But I want my heart to stay warm and my eyes to stay bright as I walk in contentment. Because sometimes when you try to say, I'm just being content, again, let's go back to sex. You haven't had sex for a while. You can start kind of getting cold towards your spouse because they're not meeting my needs. Well, you're in a season right now of want.
So good.
So what will you do in that season of want?
Or you want to go shopping and you don't have the budget as a couple.
There it is.
And so what do you do in that season?
Exactly. He's saying here, I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I've learned the secret of being content in any and every situation. So if you don't have much sleep, if you don't have much sex, if you don't have much money, if you don't have, again, whatever the friends you want to have, have you learned the secret of being content? Because there are seasons you're like, man, I had plenty. I had so much. I had all I needed. But right now I don't. Yep. So that I was thinking about in the context, I brought it to our marriage, that I want to make sure I live with contentment no matter the season, if it's a season of want or it's a season of plenty.
Right.
Because it's a lot easier, obviously, to think you're living with contentment when you have plenty, but you don't really know if you have contentment until you're in a season of want.
Exactly.
I think. I don't know. Is any of this making sense?
It's making sense, and you feel justified in your bad attitude because you're like, well, I'm justified because it's not fair because I'm not getting to do X, Y, Z.
Mm-hmm.
And then you talk yourself into it. But if we live by that scripture, then we're not justified in having a stink attitude.
Exactly, because you're not living with contentment.
Right.
So then...
I think that's there's a movie called Nemo. And there's a fish.
There's a movie called Nemo.
I'm very deep. And...
I'm sure in the scriptures you're like, there's a movie called...
Let me break it down.
There's a movie called
Finding Nemo. There's a part 1. There's a part 1 and a part 2.
Finding Dory.
In Nemo part 1.
You'd be like, there's a movie called, I don't know, Schindler's List. That was heavy.
Something deep, yeah. But there is a movie called Nemo. And Nemo, for those of you who don't know, is about this fish's journey. But I will say this. Nemo.
Keep going. Listen. Keep going. No, go. This is good. This is good. You're cooking.
Follow me.
Let her cook. Let her cook. Let her cook.
Follow me. Giving the giggles. But Nemo.
He's on his way.
Listen, no.
To Australia.
He doesn't have.
Go ahead.
His little flipper, his little wing. He has a short, giggles down. He has a short wing.
Yeah.
What do fishes have? Is it a wing? Is it a gill? What is it? The thing that
fin.
A fin.
Yeah.
Thank you. So he doesn't have he doesn't have 2 fins.
Okay. This is good. This is good. Oh yeah, girl.
Listen.
You're doing so good right now.
He has one fin that works, and he has a baby fin. My point is, I feel like today, I'm getting to it, I'm landing the plane, that today in relationships, we have a baby fin when it comes to learning contentment. Like we don't...
Yeah, I feel like that works.
Did my analogy break down?
Well, I literally have a headache right now. I'm laughing so hard. It's an underdeveloped...
It's an underdeveloped fin. Sorry. You guys understand what I'm trying to say.
Oh man, I mean,
it's like a it's underdeveloped.
Yeah.
It needs physical therapy.
All I see in my head. Okay.
Atrophy. When you don't use something. So for Nemo, it was his fin. For someone else,
he was using it.
But it was like underdeveloped.
Yeah.
I'm just saying contentment is underdeveloped in today's relationships.
I actually totally agree.
It took me a long time to get there. Let me take another sip of my...
We needed that.
Grande hazelnut oat shaken blonde espresso, 1 hazelnut syrup pump.
We needed that. I just kept seeing his little fin flap. In the movie, he kept flapping over and over and over again.
Swimming.
Yeah, just keep swimming. Yeah. Just keep swimming.
But it was
I
underdeveloped is what I'm trying to say.
Understand what you're saying. Yes.
That's how we are. If you watch Nemo and you see his little fin... That's how we are when it comes to contentment.
Contentment, for sure. It is not something that is a muscle.
No.
That we have worked and have really understood. Mm-hmm. Because again, you feel like, well, contentment means I'm lazy. Like I'm just going to take what is.
And it also means like I'm not going to challenge my spouse to be better. You can interpret it that way.
Yeah.
So I'm holding you accountable. You better watch your attitude.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
It means like if someone's walking in peace and they decide to be content, but then they wilt down instead of like standing tall.
Yep. I'm going to ask this. Tyler's in this room with us right now. Showing a lot of leg, I might ask down there. You got a lot of ankle showing.
He's wearing crop pants.
He's wearing crop pants, and he has not been to a tanning bed. Let me tell you that right now.
It's February. Give the brother a break. It's February.
Do me a favor. Go to BibleHub.com. Look up Philippians chapter 4, verse number 12. And when you go there, you can click on, there'll be these little tabs up top, and it will say Greek. Or might not have the whole word Greek, it might be just GRK. And you tap on that, and then it will give you the translation of each of the words and phrases in that verse. So go there for me, please. And one of those up top right there. Let me see. Thank you. So I like to do this here. Oh, you're not on the verse yet. Yeah, you're on Genesis 1:1. Okay, that's why. All right, Tyler, you totally messed me up on this one. Okay. Bible Hub. Okay, well, never mind. Okay, do this, Tyler. Just type into your search engine, Bible Hub, Philippians chapter 4, verse 12. Just do that, and it'll get you right to that verse. So, because I'm interested in seeing what the Greek word for contentment means.
Okay.
To kind of translate it, and then it can kind of give you a little bit more texture on what the Apostle Paul
probably says Nemo
was saying. Yeah, if it says anything about a fin, I don't know what I'm gonna do here.
You're about to run around the room.
How to be brought low. I know also how to abound and everything. I have learned the secret also to be interesting. Let me see. Okay, how to be full. Well, as I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this for all the others, oh, yeah. So I'm trying to look at the different alliterations or different translations of this word. And in all things I have learned the secret, initiate, instruct, pass, properly shutting the eyes and mouth to experience mystery. Okay, that's for the secret word. I'm trying to see where the word, I think this word to be full, I wonder. No, not that one either.
Do you want to come back to it?
You guys are coming with
being
me.
On the journey?
Yeah, I kind of like being on the journey.
Yeah,
but keep
good.
on talking about the fin. Go back to the fin.
So Nemo had this baby fin. Just kidding. I look forward to finding what you're going to find.
But what thing, honey, do you think stops us from being content?
Well, comparison, seeing somebody else's life, looking at the wrong things on Instagram, hearing people's highlight reels of their lives, and if you're around inauthentic people and they only tell you all their highs, it's hard to be contentment because you can be like, I'm going to be so grateful that right now I'm on a shopping fast and I can't shop for 6 months. But then you see your friends that just went to Europe and got all new clothes at the Gucci outlet. It's hard to stay content because you're trying to be content, but then you're comparing yourself to your friends.
No, that's actually really, really interesting for you to say that like that. And I feel like many times you want to be able to celebrate someone else, but lack of contentment stops you from being able to celebrate that other person because you think about what you don't have.
Right. I think two people can do this in their marriages when a friend brags about their husband and then you start to think, oh, well, my husband doesn't do those things. So then you can be discontent. Or same thing with a guy bragging about hearing someone talk about their wife and then they think, oh, my wife doesn't do those things for me. It can cause you to be comparison. It's comparison.
It's but you can't get away from it in today's day and age.
You
so what are you going to do?
You got to live with gratitude. So when you live with gratitude and you walk in a spirit of thankfulness, thankful for the little things, thankful for the big things, and you keep that as your lens, it helps you be grateful no matter your season.
So you would say, in your opinion, gratitude would be one of the important pieces.
I think it's key. For instance, we have a house that we are in the process of renovating. It's not renovated yet. It's partially renovated, but there's also parts of it that are not renovated.
For sure.
And so sometimes I look at the parts that are not renovated and I get discouraged and bummed because I've also been to friends' houses that everything has been renovated and there's a difference. So when I find myself being kind of petty, not petty, but just human, then I thank God. And I remember when we first got married and we were newlyweds, and we had this cute little apartment, but it was very small and we couldn't fit a lot of people in it. And God has just been so kind 26 years later that we do have a house that we're in the process of renovating. So then I find myself getting discontent, but then when I add gratitude, then it returns me to being content.
This is actually going back to this, me looking this up on Bible Hub.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the NIV actually seems to insert this idea of content, that actual word.
Okay.
It's in the text for sure, but it talks so much about having plenty, being in need, being in want. But this actual word content, I don't know if that word is there in the original language. So I'm going to have to dig into this a little bit more to see how the NIV ended up translating this verse, which I know is a really good translation of Scripture, but I'm going to look at the ESV as well, which is another one I know. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. So they don't put the word content in there. So actually, I think the spirit of that, let me pass this to you, the spirit of the verse, for sure, all the different translations you read, you can see the spirit of contentment is there. Like, hey, I'm satisfied. I've learned the secret of being satisfied. If I'm full or plenty, I've got what I need. I'm trying to figure out and understand this secret. It definitely seems that it takes Christ to get you there. I love that you're talking about the gratitude piece of it, because I feel like so many of us are losing peace, days, time, joy, moments because of a lack of contentment.
Yeah. Well, you're always on to the next thing. Your kids, playing, I don't know, a certain league, and you're like already thinking about the different league, which is great to have goals. I don't want to mess up people from having goals, because we all have goals and we want to keep getting better. But I think you miss out on, I would say this.
It's not even just the next thing, though, too. It's also, you can't even appreciate what you're in and with, who you're with at that moment. Yeah. If I'm not content, or you're not content with me, say we are on whatever, it's, man, you know what, we got to cut down on the budget here, and we can't do this thing here, we can't go here, we want to go on this little getaway, but we can't right now, we got to save this money, we got to pay off that bill, or we got college, we got to pay for, we got this or that, and we're not happy about that. That's fine. It's like, oh, I'm disappointed, I wanted to go do this other thing. So disappointment is okay. That happens with all of us, because you have an expectation, it's not met. But the lack of contentment, like I'm not satisfied. I
almost call it, I get this word picture where you're just looking inward and you're just like licking your wounds and just feeling sorry for yourself. And it's actually helps it causes your heart to get off. Like the purity of your heart.
It does.
Because your focus becomes very inward, and the focus becomes this snowball of what you don't have.
I feel like if you're focused on what you don't have, which is really hard to not focus on what you don't have because you don't have it and you want to have it. So you have this expectation as I want this thing, but you don't have it. And the more you focus on not having it.
Yep.
So that's where I think your gratitude piece is so right. It's so spot on, because gratitude, thanksgiving helps us focus on what we do have.
Exactly.
And not that takes away the pain of not having something, but at least can infuse our hearts and our minds with something that gets us focused on something else.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Because you're going to go through seasons in your married life where you have plenty of money.
Yeah.
Or you don't have plenty of money.
Yeah.
Or you have plenty of sex, or you don't have plenty of sex.
Yeah.
Or you have plenty of time together, or you don't have a lot of time together. And what are you going to do in those times?
Yeah.
We want to be a people, church family, that are like, I've learned the secret of whether I got a lot or I have a little.
Yeah.
I'm satisfied.
Exactly.
I'm full.
Yeah.
I'm whole.
And I think when you're in those seasons of not being content, you have to be in a healthy community with a connect group or with a mentor, someone you respect who's going to help lead you, a pastor, guide you correctly. Because when you stuff your discontentment and you just fake it and you don't tell your spouse how you really feel, because you don't want them to know that you're not content, and you're trying to like muster up, I'm thankful, and more like a machine and a robot, it comes out someplace else and ends up negatively impacting your relationship.
I wrote this in my journal. I am not called to contentment with a cloud. Meaning, if I'm content, I can't be walking around like I have a cloud over my head.
Right.
I'm not called to contentment with a cloud.
Right.
I'm called to contentment with joy.
Like the lady in Encanto. She had a rain cloud over her head, but keep going. Keep going. You know that character, if you've seen Encanto, it's a kid's movie, but there is a sister, and she has a rain cloud over her head. But keep going. When you said cloud, it made me think of that movie. I have too many kids' movies in my head.
Oh, my goodness. Please don't ever have this drink again. One, for me, it's not contentment if I'm counting.
Oof.
Okay?
That's oof.
So if I'm counting, it's not contentment. Just like in Sesame Street when you had Count Dracula.
Oh.
I decided that for you.
Took it back. Yeah.
I did that for you, honey.
Yeah, thank
you. But if I'm counting, like, I did this.
Yeah.
Oh, look at what I did this.
I took out the trash.
I did that.
Mm-hmm. I did bedtime routine.
They didn't do this. She didn't do that. If I'm counting, then I'm not content.
Or
that's a sign. That's a sign how you know if you're content or not.
Or if you're just serving your spouse just to get something, that ain't content.
No.
Selfishness.
Yeah. Or strategy.
Mm-mm.
Honey,
because then you become discontent.
Would you like a bath?
What do you mean?
You know, if you offer a bath to your spouse because you hope to get lucky.
What does that have to do with contentment?
Well, I'm just saying, you're saying you don't want to do things expecting to get something.
Well, if you
but sometimes you do.
Yeah, but then you can't put it on the other person.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
That's why you have to live with purity.
Live with purity.
Pure motives.
That's true. Because there have been times I've without a doubt tried to pull a good husband card. Be like, hey, can I get you some coffee? Hoping the whole time that's going to lead to some snuggle time. What's his name? He said in Jerry Maguire.
You complete me?
No, he said shoplift a pootie.
Oh, okay. Got it.
When he was talking to her, like, you can't be going out there.
Oh, yeah.
You shoplifting the pootie?
Oh, yeah. That's a classic. That movie's old.
That movie's
but,
way old.
It's a classic, but it's really old. Yeah.
I don't know if I can recommend it, though. I think there might be some stuff in there.
It has some bad stuff in it.
Yeah. So that's a long time ago.
Yeah. Don't watch it.
But with that being said, you're like, hey, I'll give you this.
Yeah.
And so I get that happens in marriage. But if it's a no,
you got to be content.
That you got to be content. Mm-hmm. You got to be happy that I just served, happy that I just gave, happy that I just loved. This is hard to do.
Yeah. But nobody wants relationship with strings attached.
Oh, I agree. I agree for sure. For me, it's not contentment if I'm counting. If I'm counting the depth and the frequency of my sacrifice, then I'm not content.
That's strong.
Just
say that again. If I'm not counting the
if I'm counting the depth and the frequency of my sacrifice, then I'm not content.
That's a good staff team, any staff that you're leading, building conversation talk. So good.
I brought down one of the powerful truths about contentment in Philippians chapter 4, verse 12, is the presence of Jesus in the plenty and the want. Look for Jesus because he is there and wants to empower me, which reminds me of Psalm 23. For you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. So also with contentment, Jesus says in Matthew chapter 6, verses 16 through 18, he was talking about fasting. And he said, when you fast, make sure you put the oil on your face. Don't walk around like the Pharisees do, trying to act like, oh, look, I'm fasting, I'm fasting. Jesus said, when you fast, do not look somber as the hypocrites do, for they disfigure their faces. Instead, put oil on your head and wash your face so that it will not be obvious to others that you are fasting. So if I'm fasting, I'm not fasting with a cloud.
Yep.
If I'm content, I'm not content with a cloud of gloom over my head like Stormy Smurf.
Like,
I went way back.
Thank you. I'm with you.
Yeah, I need to right be. I'm getting on
You're
your
bringing me
level.
along.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
getting on your level right there.
Yeah, I'm a word picture person. Sometimes movies bring the picture alive.
So you've got this cloud over your head.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, look. Yeah, I'll get you your coffee. Because I get the coffee and I'll get it for you.
Yep.
And it's not like, oh yeah, I got it. Mm-hmm. I'm happy to do it.
Yep.
I'm thrilled to do it.
Yeah.
But you got to fight to keep your
And I will
heart in
say
that
this,
place. Some people don't have to fight
with
for
marriage, with work, with leadership, sometimes it's just not fair. And if you're looking for fair, you're going to get disappointed. You're also going to deal with lack of contentment.
Yep.
Because sometimes things are just not fair. And we just have to settle it. Sometimes it's just not fair. And if you're looking for fair, you're going to be bummed most times. I think.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at our kids.
Yeah.
Fair. Wait, you gave them what? Wait, what? You gave them?
It was like, Grayson got Cane's chicken, And
Grayson's like, oh, Parker got this.
Yes.
He had this phone. Or
Parker was like, Grayson got such and such for Christmas.
Yeah. It's like all this fair. It's like, man, I'm just trying to bless, love, take care of all of you guys. You're telling me you're going to get hung up on this one thing right here when you have all these other things? And I think God might look at us sometimes and be like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
Yep.
You're going to focus in on that right there and look at all these other things I've given you?
Yep.
Ooh. I mean, again, somebody is listening to this right now. They're like, well, you don't know what I've been through.
Sure.
And I think the thing is, none of us know what all of us have been through.
That's exactly right.
But when you get real, and if you want to get really, really real, that's the pages of my Bible turning here. Job chapter 38. Then the Lord spoke to Job out of the storm. He said, who is this that obscures my plans with words without knowledge? Brace yourself like a man. I will question you, and you shall answer me. Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Tell me if you understand. Who marked off its dimensions? Surely you know. Who stretched a measuring line across it? On what were its footings set, or who laid its cornerstone? While the morning stars sang together and all the angels shouted for joy. Who shut up the sea behind doors when it burst forth from the womb? When I made the clouds its garment and wrapped it in thick darkness. When I fixed limits for it and set its doors and bars in place. When I said, this far you may come and no farther. Here is where your proud waves halt. Have you ever given orders to the morning? Or shown the dawn its place? That it might take the earth by the edges and shake the wicked out of it. The earth takes shape like clay under a seal. Its features stand out like those of a garment. The wicked are denied their light and their upraised arm is broken. Have you journeyed to the springs of the sea or walked in the recesses of the deep? Have the gates of death been shown to you? Have you ever seen the gates of the deepest darkness? Have you comprehended the vast expanses of the earth? Tell me if you know all this. And he keeps on going on and on and on. I just feel like Job was able to talk and talk and talk. And then God said, okay, I'm going to talk back. I was going to talk back for a second because you're talking to me like you have it all figured out.
Yeah.
But I'm going to talk back for a second. So, our kids come out. It's like, man, I really was hoping that I could have, this thing. And my sibling had that thing at that age. And I didn't get that thing. So I'm just really feeling forgotten. I'm really feeling like, not loved. I'm really feeling whatever. And you go, okay. And you got to provide space for that and say, oh, man, I understand how that would feel that way. And you're not shame them or anything. But then there are some times you go, you know what? Let me sit your behind down for a second and go, where were you when we got this mortgage? Where were you when we bought your bed? Where were you when we put shoes on your feet, clothes on your back, food on the table? Where were you when we held you, when you did not know which way was up, when you were crying all night long? Where were you? You go down the line, not that we'd ever do this to our kids, but maybe we ought to, that God would look at us and say, son, daughter, I was sustaining you your whole life.
Yeah.
I know this is not, you don't like this right now.
Right.
Number one, it won't be like this forever. Number one, because there's heaven.
Right.
So that's the ultimate win for all of us.
Yeah.
Number two, Job wasn't even in his predicament his entire life. And God turned things around.
Yep.
So I know you and I have experienced that, the turnarounds, but there are times you feel like utterly forgotten. We've both felt like, no way.
Yeah.
There's God,
Where
no
you
way.
at?
No, how? Why would you let this? There's no way.
Yeah. Yeah. So many times.
God, please, get me out of this.
Yep. So many times.
Sometimes he doesn't. He says, my grace is sufficient.
It's almost like life is a series of, I think about Joseph when his brothers threw him in the pit. I'm not using a movie analogy now. I'm using scripture. But when his brothers threw him in the pit, I feel like life throws us in the pit at different seasons. So we have our pit seasons where we feel abandoned by people who are supposed to love us, care for us, look out for us. And you have those in marriage. You have those with friendships. You have those with kids where you feel like I'm in this pit. But then on the other side of the pit, then you have those palace seasons.
Yeah,
because Joseph got out of the pit. Then he was put in the palace. And I think that life is a series of pit and palace moments.
It is.
And we
really
have to
is.
learn how to do life in the pit. And we have to, and it's because it's temporary. But we also have to learn how to enjoy life in the palace, which is also temporary. Because you have a palace season in parenting where you're like, everything I
And you got Potiphar's house.
Exactly.
And he had the prison.
Exactly.
And he figured out a way to flourish in a spot he did not want to be in. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But that's talking about contentment.
It is.
Life is that
that's
picture.
What it is.
It's the pit. It's Potiphar's house. It's
the prison.
It's the prison. It's all of it. Or the palace.
The palace. Yeah. It's all of those things.
Life is this. In your life, in your marriage, in your kids, in your finances, in your friendships, there's always something that is like Potiphar's house or palace. There's always something that's pit,
facts.
And we have to learn how to get through all of them.
Yep.
Because it's a cycle.
Yeah, you can't.
You don't stay any place in every
one
area
spot.
in one
Yeah,
spot.
that's right. Yeah. And I used to think, is this season good or bad? And you feel like you've got good things and bad things going on in every season.
And I think that all of our homework should be, let's list out some different areas of our life. Are they in the pit or are they in the palace? And ask God for the grace and the wisdom to be content and, to give you the grace to get through that season, but where you don't find your identity in either one.
That's right.
Because you could find your identity in, I'm always going to be in the pit. My marriage is always going to be in the pit. My friendships are always going to be in the pit. My parenting, these sleepless nights with this newborn, it's always going to be the pit. Me and my spouse arguing, me and my roommate arguing. Or you can find your identity in the palace or Potiphar's house when he was put in charge of all those things. And I find my identity that I'm the wonder child at my job. I keep getting promoted. Or my kids know all these Bible verses and our life is perfect and we did all these things great. And you find your identity in that. And then when something, goes the wrong way, you're so thrown because you put your grace in the wrong thing.
Yeah,
grace
yeah.
Our trust, I mean.
Trust. Yep,
our trust is supposed to be in him.
Yeah, that's really, really good. I love that.
It's a cycle.
The Thanksgiving journal can help break us out of this cycle. The gratitude journal can break us out of this cycle. Writing these things down is really, really healthy.
I think a lot of people
getting
that
your eyes
get
off of yourself. Yeah.
And just feel discontent of like, oh, that church, it's just not giving me enough word, or it's just not deep enough, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, I've heard you say this before, but who are you mentoring? When you're mentoring someone and pouring life into someone, it's hard to be discontent.
It is, yeah, because they're basically placing a demand on you. Yeah, yep. You got to stay on your face.
But if you just come to anything, marriage, your job, church, what can I receive? What can I get out of this? And that's your only motive.
Yeah.
Eventually, you will be discontent.
Or your primary. Yeah, it's really
primary,
good.
Yeah, you get discontent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I like that.
When you give back to something, it's amazing how you become thankful and it puts things in the right perspective.
No, it's beautiful. It's a biblical principle for sure. It's beautiful. Yeah. And again, it doesn't mean everything's perfect. We're saying life is not perfect.
No.
But it is a beautiful, profound biblical principle of sowing, reaping, of putting into the ground. And that's what we're trying to do here, even with this podcast. Just trying to put the right things in, not necessarily to get anything back per se, but really what we want is something back for all of us. We want your lives flourishing. We want you to look more like Jesus, walk more like Jesus, lead more like Jesus, love more like Jesus. And that's what we're on that journey of doing the same thing. So we're praying that over every single person that is listening to this right now.
And I would say one last thing too. We've been married for 26 years, going on 27, which is just wild to us. It feels like 10 years.
I was sitting with some guys the other day, and one had been married 8 years, another one had been married 8 years, another one had been married 7 years. And they were all talking, and I thought, and I said it, I've been married more years than all those guys combined.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
Sorry
to interrupt you.
No, I was just going to say, 27 years in almost, in May, which is just a few months away. Start saving up. May's coming.
Oh, I know.
May's our wedding anniversary, my birthday, and Mother's Day, and Elle's birthday. So pray for your boy, Earl.
Yep.
But with that said, I would say, have we stayed married 26 years, going on 27? I would say staying thankful. I would say not quitting. I would say staying planted in church.
Made a big difference.
I would say reading the Bible and praying and worshiping. I would say
individually and together.
Yep. I would say we have people in our life that know more than us, that have gone further than us, that we get advice from. I would say we have people in our life that can tell us no, or if we're getting off, would, correct us, check us, challenge us.
Challenge us, yeah. It's really good.
I would say we've stayed humble.
Which is a hard thing to say.
No, meaning really I would say that we haven't brought pride into our marriage is what I mean. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I think those are some things that have kept us. We haven't let our kids take over our marriage, because as parents, it's really easy for 18 years straight for it just to be about your kids. That's why a lot of people get divorces when their kids go away to college, because they had 18 years of just focusing on the kids.
That's true.
So I'd say we have fought. We haven't always got it right, but we've fought to keep our marriage a priority, even while raising children. Those are just some of the things that I think have helped us.
That's great.
And we've stayed teachable to this day. We've stayed teachable. Earl,
we've had to work through and navigate things. I've had to learn how to bring things to Oneka. Oneka's had to learn how to bring things to me. Maybe we'll talk about that on another episode, because I think that'd be really, really important, because many times I would hold on to something because I did not know exactly how to bring it. And then I thought, well, I'll just hold on to it and I won't bring it out because it's not a big deal.
It's almost like before a secret. It's like something can turn into a secret when you don't bring it to your spouse. So we've had some pre-secret seasons that could have turned into secrets that didn't. But that's why you got to bring things to your spouse. But we'll talk about that in another episode.
I love it. Yep. Hey, everybody, we're for you, in your corner. I love that stuff that you just shared at the end, though. That was beautiful. And you're beautiful. And I've been loving what you've been doing with your hair here recently. I know today's not as far back as it was on Sunday. It's a little bit more down. But that slick back.
Thanks, babe.
That was fresh. You look beautiful.
Just shaking things up, giving my hair a little break.
No, you look really good. You always look good, but I thought, oh, this is beautiful. I like what she did with her hair. And I love all of y'all. We love all of y'all. We are praying for you. Can't wait to see you soon. And we're in your corner.
Yes, we are cheering you on. We're in this together.
Yes, indeed. Bye.
Bye.